So, good morning. Today is Monday, September 13th, and this is Motivation Monday. Hopefully, something just to get your week going and get you on track here. Our little schedule here will be like the tip of the week, some sales shout outs, and then our topic is kind of the AEP kickoff for Medicare. We'll talk a bit about what it means to be ready to sell. So our tip here is when it comes to cross-selling, there's one simple question that you can use to really unlock the additional sales. When reviewing the cost with the customer and you hit items like deductible or co-insurance, just ask the simple question, do you want to pay that, or would you like someone else to pay that for you? And especially when you hit those big number items, I always call it the big stuff. And then it really opens the thing for things like critical illness, accident plans. My favorite, the hospital indemnity, where you can really show them that for a small amount of money, you can truly control a large fee. So let's see what we got here on our shout outs. Let's see, STM mostly was National General, same with Limited Med and Accident. National General was kind of leading the way there. However, Golden Rule had it for critical illness and for dental. So that's where the money was being made. And let's see who was making the money. It looks like for short term, Max and Blake, usually the two of them, but we also had Robert Malminger, kind of a new entry there. And Limited Medical, the big sellers, the people really making the money there were Andrew Beadnell and Katia Santa Maria. And I always figure, the ones that are selling either the short term or the limited medical are always one of them will be the accident leader there. And again, so this time it's Andrew Beadnell, followed by Susan Natali. When it came to Medicare, this looked like Stephen Ortega was selling mostly Medicare supplement plans. I couldn't find anybody who did any really real big in last week in Advantage plans. So just look at Stephen there, who, gosh, I think he did like 4 plans. That's making some money there, looking good. So here we go. We're going to kind of talk a little bit about Medicare today, and our AEP kicks off on the 15th of October and runs through the 7th of November. But anybody who enrolls during that time period, that coverage will begin on January 1st of 2022. Also, as a note in there, although we cannot sell the plans until October 15th, the material will all be out and available to look at on October 1st, so that you can actually, look at the plans and show them to your customers, but you can't take an application before the 15th. So it all begins with getting the notification from the carrier that you are ready to sell. So being ready to sell means that you've successfully completed your AHCP training, the foundation basics, risk prevention, sales event reporting. You've got those tools for compliant selling. You've gone over and you've learned your products, and whether it's an HMO, a PPO, PDP, special needs plans. Those are all the categories that you should have studied, and especially in the AHCP. And then you'll have seen it again in the particular carrier. Make sure that you fully understand not only in general HMO, PPO, PDP, special needs plans, but anything that they add in particular. I'll give you an example of what I mean. Like when it comes to something like emailing customers, CMS says that you can email a customer, kind of out of the blue. We call that, unsolicited, provided you provided an opt-out for receiving future emails in the email. But when you go to United Healthcare, you'll find that they don't even permit that at all. So, I mean, they can be much more stringent over their product than what CMS requires. So that's what you pick up when you do your product training, with the license. And then you're going to need to have a license, an appointment, and a certification for every state in which you plan to sell. Okay? So, ready to sell. Now, this is kind of an example. This is mine from Aetna and SilverScript. You see what I mean here? It just says that I'm ready to sell. And what is it? I can sell the Aetna MA, MAPD, and SilverScript PDP products. And then it goes on to say what states I'm allowed to do that selling in. So licensed, appointed, and certified. And that's licensed in any state that you intend to sell. Let's see, this is just another one. This is the way it looks when it comes from Humana. Okay, theirs is a little bit different. They just attach it as an exhibit, giving you a list of the states that you're allowed to sell in. But basically the same thing. It says that I am ready to sell their products. So you should have that from every carrier that you are certified with. And then that's because you want to have that because that is also what makes sure that you get paid for what you do. So who should you have? Okay, I just always kind of go over this. If you're going to be in Medicare, you should at least have those three national carriers. Between Aetna, Humana, and United, you're looking at well over 50% of all the plans sold in the country. Okay, so those are the big national carriers, with United probably being, around 35% itself of all plans, or all MAPD plans that are sold. But we also have our regional carriers, and in some places it's very important to have some of these regional carriers. Now, between Anthem and Blue Cross Blue Shield, those are the blues. Okay, they tend to fall under, there's a lot of them that are all by themselves. For example, here in the Pacific Northwest, Primera is neither an Anthem nor a Blue Cross Blue Shield, but they are the Blue Cross Blue Shield provider in Washington, Oregon, and Alaska, I believe. Now, if you're going to be doing a lot of business throughout the South, Cigna is a good one to have, and it's actually Cigna Health Springs. Then in Oklahoma, you see Global Health. Okay, they're strictly an Oklahoma company. And Scott and White. Scott and White is Texas, kind of centered around the Baylor University. Okay, great company there. And then I throw in like Scan. Scan is again on the West Coast. We could have put Aspire. That's just not only on the West Coast in California. It's the only plan in Monterey County. Okay, so there's depending on where you're selling and where you live, I would always have the top three, and then maybe a couple of the regional carriers, kind of just depending on what's the wants and needs of the people in your area. So now you're going to want to be familiar with the various enrollment systems out there. Now, Humana uses their system called eHub. Aetna's got their new one out this year. It used to be Ascend, and I think you can still use Ascend if you're familiar with it. But Think Agent is their new platform for enrolling, and UHC uses Lean. So each carrier has their own enrollment system and signature process. Now, with that said, there's a lot of opportunity out there to use, for example, Quoted. They have where they've integrated with those systems, and you can use that, right, to do your enrollment. So it's just whichever method that you use, you just need to be familiar with how to do that enrollment. And doing that application for the first time with a customer is not the time to be looking at the enrollment system for the first time. So all the carriers will have plenty of training available. I know that UHC, which I do a lot of, has quick reference cards so that you can follow along if you stumble somewhere. I've always found that all of them are pretty simple. They work great over the phone. If you're doing everything over the phone and nothing in person, don't forget to get your scope of appointment. And the other item would be to know how the signature process is going to work. Right? Some of them, if you're doing it in person, it's pretty simple, where you can use just what I use is an iPad where they can actually sign on it. You can use those where you will attach a signature capturing device. Your last resort is to do it on paper and mail it in. Can still be done. Typically, if you do it on paper, you're going to turn around and type it into the computer and then send it into them later. But you want to get that in as fast as possible. So they're going to throw a lot of time requirements on you. Like I said, scope of appointment. Here's the thing about scope of appointment. You can literally use any CMS approved current scope of appointment. So if I'm started off with maybe a United and then wound up selling them an Aetna, it doesn't matter that my scope of appointment is on United. In fact, I always really recommend that you become very accustomed to the use of one company's scope of appointment, and something that you can be talking on the phone and sending it out to them at the same time. They're very simple. Like I said, the one through the Lean system is pretty nice now, where you can literally do it while talking to them. My go-to in the past has been the one from Aetna, on the Ascend platform, where you could do it and send that scope of appointment via email or via text. And I could literally do that while talking to them. Okay? So my whole point is pick a system, get very comfortable with it, practice, send it to yourself, see how it works, see what the other end looks like. Especially if you're going to have one that's got where they have to do signature requirements through a third party, DocuSign type stuff. And just be sure that you're real comfortable with it so that you can describe to the other person exactly what they're doing. Remember that while these are the most internet savvy generation entering Medicare right now, not all of them are accustomed to doing that. I still run into people all the time that don't even know how to use the email on their cell phone. So just be ready to be able to talk somebody through it and show so that you can get the sale done quickly and efficiently over the phone. But you're going to need that scope of appointment, and that's why I really stress that You should be very comfortable with being able to talk over the phone with somebody while at the same time completing that scope of appointment with them so that you're well ready by the time you get into the sales pitch. Okay? All right. So eligibility for a Medicare Advantage plan or a PDP plan. Okay, so if I'm dealing with my customer, I do need that signed scope of appointment. I do need to verify that they are entitled to Medicare Part A and enrolled in Part B, and also that they live in the service area. While that seems a little redundant, you do need to make sure that they do live in the area of the plan. And that final one is, I've actually had people lose their plan because they didn't understand that they had to continue to pay their Part B. Right? And I always say if not paid by a third party, meaning they're on some sort of Medicaid where there's getting some financial assistance. I mean, even at the most basic level of Medicaid where they get nothing else, they can have their Part B being paid by the state. And so, I mean, they could be down there, and I think that's around 140% of poverty level. So they're not, down there at full poverty level, at the 100% point. They could be slightly above that, and still the state will pay their Part B premium. So just note these requirements. You really need that on every Medicare sale. Signed scope of appointment. You need to have verified that they're entitled to Part A and enrolled in Part B. Now, when they gave you their county and their zip code, at that point you're pretty much showing, verifying that they live in the service area. But you need to say those words that you must continue to pay your Part B premium. Because like I said, I have had people who thought that they didn't need to do that and stopped paying it. And then the plan went away. And the next thing I got was a call from an angry customer wanting to know what happened to their Medicare plan. Why did it stop? Why did I get this cancellation notice? So that's how you fix that. So have a plan. I mean, we're going to talk some marketing here a little bit. And I always recommend that you kind of have some ideas of how to get out there and sell that plan. So here we go. Start with your existing customers. If you're selling under 65, who's turning 65? And so if you talk with them, you may know that a parent lives with them. Okay? I mean, these are people that you've already established, a relationship with, so it makes it a little bit easier to find out if it's ability to help them with Medicare. There is in Medicare, a no soliciting, without having permission to call them. But if you're dealing with your own customers, that's not at that point considered solicitation. You can do direct mail campaigns. Just be aware, there's ways to get lists at no cost, but you may have to buy a list of something like everybody turning 65 in a particular zip code or something like that. And so there's the cost of mailing, and you need to have a good feel for what that return rate is. And then from that, you need to know what your closure rate is. So that can cost you some money. That's some of these others are a little bit different than that. Seminars. Use places like that'll allow you to use a room and post an Understanding Medicare seminar or something like that. Maybe at the public library, maybe at the local senior center. If you've done, if you've got go to church, possibly using your church. So there's a lot of places that you can do seminars. I prefer in Medicare to educate, and then from there I'm able to enroll people. But I don't particularly like to do what they call a marketing seminar, where it's upfront trying to enroll people. I prefer to use education, and once I've educated them, I find that it's easier to enroll them because they want the plan, especially if you educate them properly. Carrier kiosk, that's another one where you can just contact one of your local carrier sales reps. Many of them will have, kiosks in the mall or in drugstores, throughout their area, and will let people come in and work the kiosk. Okay, you'll get some training from the carrier. Typically, you're going to have to lead with the carrier's product, and then once you've met with the person, and it's time you've determined, all the particulars for the sale, right? In other words, what doctors they're seeing and what prescriptions they're taking. You can tailor the plan to them, but you would start with that carrier's product before you move to something else. Okay? Other ideas are like tear sheets. If you don't know what that is, that's something like an introductory letter that says that you're an independent insurance agent. And then it's got little things where they can tear off your telephone number at the bottom. You've probably seen them in any place that will let you put up a bulletin board. Can be your local drugstore, senior center, places like that have that ability to put something up. So you just sometimes you got to think out of the box, do a little bit of what I would call guerrilla marketing, okay? And see what you can do to simulate some business out there. Well, my quote for the day, Sun Tzu, victory comes from finding opportunities in problems. And that's what we try to do, right? We're selling healthcare. You tell me, what your problem is, and I will tailor a plan to fit your need. So it would be victory in that opportunity. That's what I have here for you this morning. I hope everybody has a great week. Don't like to tie up more than about 15 or 20 minutes for your Monday morning motivational ideas. And that's what I've got for you today. Any questions, just email me at training@ahcpsales.com, or you can call in the customer service if you've got any problems. And with that, I'll let you all go and have a great week.